All right, guys, cat's out of the bag. Jeff Lewis is returning to Bravo. All right, so this news has been out for a little bit of time now, but I just caught Jeff Lewis on Vicki Gunvalson's podcast, and honestly, he had such good nuggets on that podcast. So did Vicki and their co-host. We will get into that. As well, Jeff Lewis's beef with Brynn Whitfield. He was one of the first to kind of call her out. And now I feel like the rest of us are getting on board and seeing Brynn Whitfield from RHONY. We're seeing her for who she is. As well, let's just, have a chat about Bravo. We have to remember Jeff Lewis is one of the folks who were one of the essential building blocks when, Bravo was up and running in those earlier days. So let's get into all of that. Subscribe if you haven't already. I cover all things Real Housewives, Bravo, and some good pop culture tea. With that said, let's get into it. All right. So Jeff was just on Vicky's podcast, and then podcast name is My Friend, My Soulmate, My Podcast. And she does it with Kristen Snow, who is like a huge Bravo content creator. And I absolutely adore his memes that he makes on a daily basis when it comes to all of our favorite Bravo shows. Okay, so Vicky's podcast, My Friend, My Soulmate, My Podcast, her first one or two episodes, I remember watching it and I was like, whoa, that was like really chaotic. But every now and then I'll catch it because she'll have like really good guests on that I, truly want to listen to. So this week she had on Jeff Lewis, and I'm also a really big fan of Jeff Lewis. And in this podcast, I found Vicky to be quite she was a lot calmer. And when Vicky is just Vicky, she's like in her business mode. I find she does have really good pieces of advice. And I would say watch this podcast, not just, or listen to it, not just for entertainment value, but if you are someone who is running your own business or you work in corporate, there's some good pieces of advice and good nuggets that both Vicky and Jeff share. Anyways, let's get into it. These two or three of them were reminiscing on the good old days of Bravo. Now, what does that mean, the good old days of Bravo? They're talking about women who were just on the show because they wanted to maybe promote something. Maybe they were already rich housewives and this was something fun to do. And him and Vicky talk about how, well, in Jeff's case, he purely went on Bravo because he was discovered and he just wanted to make, an additional source of income and put his design business out there, promote his business, use Bravo, this platform, as a huge marketing tool. He has his business cap on. But these days, a lot of the women, or the producers behind the scenes, everything is like so scripted. It's like what's real, what's not real. It's just a lot of like games and like silly nonsense. And when they're talking about return to form, a lot of us, like OG Housewives, Bravo watchers, we miss the good old days. We don't want to constantly watch new people. There's like so many shows out there. Like, I don't want to get to know a whole new cast. I don't want to get to know a bunch of young people who are probably not much older than I am. Like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I want my housewives, like the ones starting out, they need to be like minimum 42. This is just like my personal thought, my personal opinion. You guys let me know your thoughts on it. But I feel like the starting age, you should be a little bit older. Most of the cast, if you want to sprinkle in one or two younger housewives, like the Ashley Darbys of the Housewives world, or even Wendy Osefo. I didn't realize how young she was, and her turning 40 that they celebrated for like half of Potomac this season. I was like, oh my God, Wendy just turned 40, which is like not that old, but she's accomplished so much. So if you're gonna have, one or two housewives that are younger, but they're like messy and it like makes sense, fine. But overall, I prefer my housewives to be older and like kind of chaotic. But anyways, they're basically talking about the housewives now. If you're just doing it for fame, it's like, it's not that entertaining, and when you're doing it for fame, you're just gonna do anything. Like, you're just gonna do anything. And now some of the old shows, like, they were even mentioning Shahs of Sunset. Guys, I don't know what's going on with Shahs of Sunset when it comes to, like, Mercedes, who's tight with Jeff Lewis. She's on Jeff Lewis's show often. Mercedes, who else? Reza, Golnessa. These are the 3 that come to mind. They're always talking about, like, getting the gang back together and, like, they're working on something, they're working on something. Oh my god, can someone just give Shahs of Sunset a show and, like, put them back on TV? Because I'm telling you, Shahs of Sunset was ahead of its time in many ways. They were so messy and, like, some people knew about the Persian community, but, like, not really, and it was like, we got the behind the scenes when it came to the culture, but we also got the mess, and it was, like, Persians in LA, so, you know, it's a very, like, it's a subset of that culture. It was so fun to watch, and for me personally, this isn't an old show, but bring back, um, Family Karma. That was another great show, and we had it on at the perfect time during the pandemic, when we really needed feel-good television, and Family Karma, it's a newer show, obviously, in the Bravo world, but I felt like, in a way, it was returned to form. It was just, like, fun TV, you know, people weren't really acting. It was families who had real connection with one another, and that's what we wanna see. We just wanna see a camera put in to a chaotic group of friends or family. Just let the camera roll, and that's also what Vicki and, Jeff Lewis were talking about, like, Vicky's scene with her family getting ready for a trip to Rome and even just getting in the van, um, or the limo, like, Vicky was like, "Why are you guys gonna film us at, like, 6 AM? We're just gonna, like, brush our teeth and get ready in the morning and, like, get in the car." But the producers were like, someone's gonna be late, something's gonna happen." And boy, was that good television. You just took a camera, you know, plopped it in front of Vicky and her family, and it was amazing television. All right, so this podcast, they posted it 2 days ago. I don't know when they filmed it, but they posted it 2 days ago. And just yesterday, Bravo broke the news. Gretchen is coming back to Real Housewives of Orange County as a friend. And Real Housewives of Orange County, the entire cast is coming back, with the exception of, oh my God, I'm forgetting her name already. Okay, so the entire cast is coming back with the exception of Alexis Bellino. So it seems like Gretchen is going to take her place. Now, they didn't really dive into the cast of OC in the upcoming season, but Jeff Lewis was basically like, oh, it would be nice to see Gretchen on the show. And I'm thinking, like, did he have inside info? Because this podcast was posted or aired before the news about Gretchen, which came out yesterday. So this is going to be, I guess, the cast for Real Housewives of Orange County season 19. They also talked about Heather Dubrow a little bit, and I guess Vicki is still in the outs with Heather, and she doesn't really like Heather. And Vicki's whole point was, you know, Heather has more money than God. Why is she on the show? But it's women like that that want fame. They have everything, but, you know, fame isn't something you can necessarily buy. You can definitely get your name out there, but, you know, having your name in people's mouth, having longevity, that's a different beast. But Jeff Lewis is like, you know, people like their villain. It's true, you know, we wanna see good versus bad. We wanna see a scorned woman. We wanna see all of that. And, Gretchen coming back, this is not, like, what they discussed, but Gretchen coming back is gonna be a nightmare for Tamra. So I'm sure Gretchen is gonna team up with Shannon and whoever else, and Tamra, your days are numbered. Get ready, girl. Anyways, let's move on to Brynn Whitfield. Jeff was definitely one of the first few people outside of RHONY cast members that was, like, beefing with Brynn. I absolutely get such a kick out of Jeff Lewis drama with Housewives. How many orchids has he sent Kyle from Beverly Hills? Like 3 by now? He's always saying what the rest of us are thinking, but he is saying it on a much bigger platform. And he is a public figure. So of course he gets himself in trouble, and then he sends out the orchids to the housewives, like him and oh my God, I'm literally forgetting names, guys. Crystal Minkoff, they were not on a good note when they first started out. But, him and Crystal, like, she's on his podcast, on his Sirius FM show quite a bit. Now, the Brynn of it all. I've been wanting to talk about RHONY, new RHONY, and the darkness, but I didn't really want to spend too much time on it. So I guess this is the perfect time to talk about it on, my page. Jeff very specifically said, we don't know what Brynn does in terms of her job, and her livelihood, her income is supplemented. That is the key word. Her livelihood, her income, it seems like she's supplemented. He did not call her a sugar baby. He did not call her a woman of the night and the evening. He did not say anything like that. It's just, what do you do? And even on the latest episode, or the reunion of Real Housewives of New York, Sai flat out asked Brynn, what do you do? And what did Brynn answer? I do your job. Now, I did get a little mad seeing that scene because Andy didn't push Brynn and ask her any further questions. Like, okay, can you clarify? Like, what do you mean you do what Sai does? Now, I remember some time ago, I did check out Brynn's LinkedIn, or I didn't go check it out. It was like something that was circulating. This was like season 1 of the new RHONY girls. And she does have an incredible background in PR and communications. And I just don't understand why she doesn't lead with that. I just don't understand why she does this whole like coquette cosplay, like, ooh, I'm so cute. It's like, no, you are a mid to late 30s something grown woman, stop behaving like you're like 23. Um, it doesn't matter if you live even in just like a studio apartment in New York City, especially in Manhattan. It is going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's so expensive to live in New York City. And not just in New York City, in any big city, cost of living has just skyrocketed, especially in the last couple years. And so for this woman to not say what the heck she does for a living, how she pays the bills, and then her getting mad at people for asking the question, but not only that, she then twists their word and makes it seem like they said something that they didn't. That's literally been Brynn's MO this entire time, but it's gotten so bad, she's now basically been caught and there's no going back. What she did with Uba this season, there's no going back. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bravo cuts her out going forward. And the worst part is, guys, sorry, it gets worse actually. She doubled down. There was a article that came out, she did an interview, and she basically called herself the victim. Very interesting. Anyways, I absolutely love it when Jeff beefs with housewives. I just get like such a kick out of it. But this one, Jeff saw something in Brynn that maybe the rest of us kind of saw, but we just kind of like let it slide. And his conversation with Vicki, you go on the show because you want to promote your business. Like Lisa Vanderpump, when she was on Beverly Hills, yes, she got to be Lisa Vanderpump, showcase her lifestyle, Villa Rosa, like the beauty of it all her beautiful restaurants. But it was a great marketing tool to showcase her restaurants and any philanthropic initiatives she had. When we think about Kyle Richards and Maurizio, he was starting out the agency, and it was such a great nationwide platform for him to, of course, he's married to Kyle, and also promote the agency. So, things like that. It's a good reason to get on a show like Housewives. However, when you have Housewives where they basically pay the bills by their income on the show, it's not really fun to watch anymore. It's like, okay, so are you living your real life? Are you being authentic? Or are you just creating this chaos and drama because you want the Bravo paycheck? And Vicki was like, like, yeah, I was on the show, but I saved a lot. And, I still work at Kodo Insurance, and this is how I'm able to, um, this is how I've been able to buy 3 homes. And I'm just like, you know what, Vicki? You might be crazy, but you're a real one. Anyways, guys, go watch the interview. It was great to see Jeff Lewis. He's going to be back on Bravo, and basically it's going to be like flipping out, but like a newer version of that. And let me know what are like some of your OG Bravo shows that you miss. I know for me, it's definitely Shaw's, and I want to see more of the OG Real Housewives back on my screen. Anyways, guys, with that said, I will have more recaps for you and more good pop culture tea, and I will catch you all later.